Hey, 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 everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome back. Hope you guys enjoyed your week off last week from me. My kiddos were on fall break, so we headed down to Arizona to visit some friends and enjoy the 100-degree weather. Yeah, it was hot. It was so nice. It was so nice to just get quality family time and see our friends, and yeah, it was a good time. So I want to jump right into today. I'm really excited to share what I have for you guys today. If you didn't read the topic, we're talking about what top CEOs are doing to prepare for the economic recession. First off, I'm Bree Beers. I've been in accounting for 20-ish years. I own Bree Beers and Associates. That is in its 7th year, I think. It's a tax preparation and planning firm specializing in small business tax returns and complex individual tax returns. I'm also the founder of Peak Prosperity CFO, where we work with 7-figure business owners who are feeling stuck and wanting more work-life balance and more money in their personal banking accounts from their businesses. So that's me. And today we're talking about this recession. And y'all, there's whether it's coming, it's here, depends on which experts you ask, right? But anytime there's any sort of economic event, typically 3 to 12 months is what we're looking at for how long it kind of, our economy slows down and is kind of, where when I say economic event, depression, recession, downturn, I kind of use them all interchangeably. I know that's not right, but that's how I roll. So we want to make sure that through this next 3 to 12 months that your business is still standing when it's all said and done, when it's all over, right? So I'm going to share today how successful CEOs navigated past recessions, and I'm going to give you some tools and tricks to help you through this one. All right, so I would love to know how many of you guys have actually been struggled through an economic event already, right? So whether you're watching this live or on replay, go ahead and leave it in the comments. And because I believe there's 3 buckets of entrepreneurs out there, right? There's those of you who started your business after a pandemic. So you have not had to go through one of these economic downturns yet. So this is going to be new to you. So there's you guys. There are those of you who have been around long enough to have gone through pandemic, but that's the only economic downturn you've dealt with thus far. And then there's those of you who pandemic wasn't even your first rodeo. You have been a part of this cycle. And if you've ever watched me before, you know that I tell you that these economic recessions, depressions, downturns, events, they happen every 5 to 12 years, guys. Every 5 to 12 years, something happens, right? We have whatever's coming up now. We had pandemic. We've had, the depression of 2008. We've had the Gulf War depressions and recessions. Like they happen. They're part of our economic life cycle. All right. So everybody's in one of these 3 buckets. I'm in that middle bucket. All right. Pandemic was my first economic downturn. And most of us here, especially in this size business that we're all in, we survive these downturns, right? I kind of think of it like a storm, right? We hunker down and we survive and we wait out the storm, right? So when there's a storm, we board up the windows, we stock up the food, and we just wait it out, right? Until it's over, and then we go back to business, right? In business owning, kind of the same thing. We kind of check our reserves, right? Our emergency funds. We go over our expenses, kind of figure out what can we get rid of, and then we wait it out. We survive it. On that note, there is a link in the comments to our Disaster Proofing Your Biz workbook. I'm going to be revamping this really soon, but it's still a really good tool to work through right now and go through the steps to make sure you are ready for this economic downturn that's coming or is here, whatever you want to call it. All right. So we survive it. That's the mindset we take. Let's survive this recession. Let's survive this event. But y'all, I want us to thrive through this one. And that's what the big CEOs do. All right. They thrive in these recessions, and we'll circle back around to that at the end. But today we're going to learn the number 1 tip to thriving in these recessions and these economic downturns rather than surviving. So let's think about like old school thinking versus new school thinking. So we've always been told, work harder and you'll make it. Work harder and you'll make it, right? If there's a recession, you just got to work harder, and you'll make it through. Oh, you're having a tough time in your business, work harder, you'll make it through. It's not working anymore. Working harder is not. Businesses are still going under, even though they're working harder. All right. And the other piece to that is that those of us that are working harder and we're like, okay, we just got to work harder, we'll get through it. We're getting burnt out because these cycles, if it's work harder during a downturn and then we kind of can chill, those downturns are becoming closer and closer. So we're having a lot more time of working hard and a lot less time to recover. So we're getting burnt out. So the new way of thinking, you guys, for us, the way we've got to switch our brains is to start working smarter. Okay, we've got to work smarter. And that's what the CEOs do. And that's what they've always been doing, guys. This is not new to them. This is why they're running $1 million, $1 billion companies, because they've always worked smarter. They may also work hard, but they have always been working smarter. And the one thing that these CEOs do that we need to start doing is making data-driven decisions. Make data-driven decisions. That is what these successful CEOs do, and that's what we need to do running our 5, 6, and 7-figure businesses. All right, so let's start with what is a data-driven decision, Brie? Like, that sounds fancy, but what is it? So data-driven decisions, you guys, they're simply decisions made by the CEO. That's us, whether you call yourself a CEO or an entrepreneur or a business owner. If you are in charge of your business, you are the CEO. All right, so data-driven decisions are decisions made by the CEO, you and me, after we've looked at the data provided by the financial statements and projections. All right, that's it. Sounds so simple, right? It really is. Data-driven decisions involve making decisions after we look at the data. All right, so what does that mean? What exactly does that mean to make data-driven decisions? So it means, you guys, that you're looking at your financial statements, okay? Your financial statements include your balance sheet, your P&L, and your statement of cash flows. All right, you're looking at these on a regular basis, and you're absolutely looking at them when you're looking to make decisions, like how do we prepare for this economic downturn? And what that means, you guys, is you're looking at these financial statements. You are looking at how every dollar that you're spending impacts your revenue, your profit, and your cash. You're looking at how profitable each line of your business is, right? If you're in a trade, right, plumbing or electrical, you're looking at the different lines of businesses. There's service, there's install, there's repairs. If you're in a product-based business, maybe you sell. Maybe, you know me, I love the t-shirt. I don't have one t-shirt client, guys. I never have, but I love to use it as an analogy or as an example. And you have a t-shirt business, but let's say you make t-shirts and sweatshirts and long sleeve shirts, right? Like, how profitable are each of these lines of business? All right, so that's what looking at your financial statements entails. All right, and then I also want you looking at your projections. So some of you are like, wait, what's a projection? I got you. All right, projections are looking at the next 12 months, looking at what your business projects to be making for revenue, making for profit, and having in the bank for cash. All right, so you're looking at your financial statements and you're looking at your projections. And projections, you guys, they're the number one tool for making decisions. All right, I am in the middle of making a cash flow projection worksheet that I hope to have available to you guys relatively soon for those of you that are kind of DIY. But looking at those projections is the number one way to decide, can you afford this? All right, is this a good decision for my business? All right, because right now, when we have a decision to make in our business, right, is it, do we need to hire people? Do we need to fire people? Do we need to buy equipment? We are making these decisions in one of two ways. All right, we are either following our gut, we're like, do this, and then we're crossing our fingers and we're praying it works, right? Hope is not a strategy, okay? Hoping that things work is not a strategy. And the other side of that, so you're either following your gut, crossing your fingers and going, gosh, I hope this works. Or you're a deer in headlights and you aren't making a decision. You're like, just leave it as is, right? Like, let's not do anything. And you're just thinking, okay, I'm going to ride this out and it's going to work. And part of it, a lot of us do that because it's worked in the past. We've left things as is and we've managed to survive those events, right? But we're not looking to survive. We are looking to thrive. And in order to thrive, we have to make decisions. We cannot just let it ride. All right. So following your gut and crossing your fingers and just, letting things lie, those are both strategies that are they're going to kill your business. All right. At this point in time, they may have worked in the past, but they are not a long-term strategy. All right. So successful CEOs, gosh darn it, sorry guys. Successful CEOs aren't doing either of those two things. All right. Instead, they are making every single decision within their business based on the data, right? Based on the information from those financial statements, from those projections. Okay, I'm telling you, every time a business decision is made, that CEO is looking at those financial statements, at the projections, and then making their decision. Hiring, firing, buying equipment, moving locations, adding a new product line, getting rid of an old product line. All of these things, whether it's an economic downturn or not, they are utilizing that data to make informed decisions. And that is how they are different than most of us. Because most of us are just crossing our fingers or leaving things to just float the way they've been going. All right. And at this point, I know that a lot of people are like, I don't know how to read my financials. Okay, you want me to look at that? There's thousands of numbers. Like, what do I look at? Remember, you guys, you don't have to be the expert in reading them. Right? Get help. And if you followed me at all, you know that I believe that CEOs have two main objectives, right? They need to make big decisions, data-driven decisions, and they need to manage their leadership team. So I'm absolutely not telling you to also wear a CFO hat, all right? That goes against everything I'm teaching you guys, right? Again, if you follow me, you know that my goal is to take CEOs, to take business owners from this long laundry list of things that they do in and on the business, all the way working down to those two things, making big decisions and managing their leadership team. All right. So in order for you to make those big decisions as the CEO, you have to have the information. You have to have the data. And that is for someone else to give to you. All right. Your job is to understand the story and how to make those smarter decisions. All right. Your bookkeeper, accountant, CFO, whatever it is, whoever it is, that's your financial guru. All right. That's the person that's giving you the data, right? They're telling you what your revenues are. They're telling you what your profits are. And then you're able to make the decision. All right. So CEOs will say, okay, they might be like, we need to hire some people, right? So like, okay, well, if we hire people, what does that do to our projections? And your financial guru is saying, okay, we have the cash to hire someone. And what they're going to do is that's going to open up a chance to make more revenue. And so that $80,000 employee is actually going to make us $120,000. So we're going to net 40 grand. All right. That's just one example. But the point is your CFO, your financial guru, whoever it is that you are trusting to provide you with that guidance to make those decisions will help you. It's a team effort. All right. So the other thing I want you guys to do as you're on this journey is to spend smarter. Okay. You're making these data-driven decisions, and part of that means spend smarter. So what I want you to do is to increase spending on investments and cut spending on expenses. All right. Spend on investments, cut on expenses. So what are investments? Investments drive your revenue, right? That's trucks, that's equipment. They drive your profit, meaning automations, processes, right? Things that may not bring in more dollars, but they cut your costs by cutting down maybe manpower or time. So they drive your profit. Investments increase your time. That's people, right? Hiring people increases your time as a CEO to do other things. And they help you reach your goals faster, right? That's such things as conferences and coaching. Okay, sorry. I have a training in 15 minutes. That was that noise. So investments, drive revenue, drive profit, increase your time, and help you reach your goals faster. That's what investments do. Expenses are everything else that you spend money on. Some of those expenses are unavoidable, right? Electricity, utilities, possibly rent, but some can be cut. So look at those, all right? That is low-hanging fruit. And at the end, I'm going to give you some to-dos, some steps on how to get this done today, all right? Just make sure you aren't cutting investments. You're only cutting expenses. All right, so you guys, a big part of like, how are these successful, thriving CEOs different than those of us that are just surviving? And part of it, and the biggest thing I want you to take away from today, right, is that success during an economic downturn is not defined by those who spend less. It's defined by those who spend smarter, okay? It's not about spending less. It's about spending smarter. Because when we go back to those investments and expenses, right? If you start cutting investments, you start cutting the people, the processes, the software that make your business work, you're also going to be cutting your revenues. You're also going to be cutting into your profits, right? So you do not want to cut the investments, right? You're not spending less, you're spending smarter, all right? And circling back around what I told you at the beginning, that successful CEOs thrive in this market, in this economy. More, you guys, this is a fact. More millionaires and billionaires are created during economic downturns than any other time in history. Okay. More millionaires and billionaires are created, are minted in these economic downturns than any other time in history. Right. If you Google, what did I Google the other day? Millionaires' wealth before and after pandemic. It's insane. All right. Might actually make you a little sick, depending on if you're anything like me. You're gonna be like, oh my gosh. But I want it to give you hope. I wanted to give you like a positive way to turn on this. Okay. You do not have to survive this economic downturn. You can actually thrive in it. And you're going to thrive in it by making these data-driven decisions and spending smarter and not instead of spending less. All right. Next week, I'm actually going to share my wealth financial framework. So this is what I use with all my clients. This is what I use on my business. And then in the coming weeks after that, I'm going to kind of dive into each of those pieces of the wealth financial framework. So I'm really excited to share that one with you. But here's what I want you to do right now, you guys. Right now, I want you to have whoever your bookkeeper, your accountant, your office manager, somebody on your team that can pull your last year of expenses and costs and of money out, right? They can pull from your QuickBooks or your Xero. I want and summarize. So what I want them to give you is a summary of who you paid and how much you paid in the last 12 months. Okay, a summary of who you paid and how much you paid to each of those people. Okay, it should be a spreadsheet. It shouldn't be more than a couple of pages, if that, depending on how big you are and how much you spend. All right, who you paid, how much you paid for the last 12 months. So this is going to take a little bit of legwork by whoever you assign it to. All right, it is not you. Please, it is not you. Please don't let it be you. But essentially what you need to do is from your QuickBooks or Xero, you export your spending for the last 12 months, and then you summarize, you combine all of the common payees, right? So like all of my payments to Adobe will be rolled up into one line with a total for the year. All right. So I want who you paid and how much you paid for the entire year. And I want that document or that spreadsheet or whatever that is given to you as the CEO. Then your job as the CEO is to identify each of those line items with an I for investment or an E for expense. Okay, remember, investments drive revenue, drive profit, increase your time, or reach your goals faster. Okay, think trucks, equipment, automations, people, conferences, and coaching. Those are investments, and I want you to mark those with an I. Okay, expenses are everything else. All the other money going out that does not drive those other things. Then, with your list of E's, everything that's an expense, I want you to highlight everything that can be cut. All right. What are you spending money on that you don't need to be spending money on? All right. And do it. Whether that means you're doing it because you're the only one that has access to that account, or you're having your office manager do it, but cut those expenses. All right. And then going forward, right? The way you make data-driven decisions is when you're trying to decide if you're hiring someone, if you're buying a piece of equipment, first thing you ask, is it an investment or an expense? Okay. Does it drive revenue, drive profit, increase your time, or reach your goal faster? If not, we're saying no right now. Okay. We are saying no to expenses, not adding expenses to our list. If it's an investment, like, yes, it's an investment, then we dig into the data to make a data-driven decision on whether to make that investment or not. All right. I hope that makes it really simple for you guys. All right. So for current spending, you're going to get a summary from your financial guru. You are going to go through and mark it as investment or expense. And then you are going to highlight the expenses that you can cut. And then going forward, anytime the concept or the idea of spending money comes to your plate to make a decision on, you're going to ask yourself, is this an investment or an expense? If it's an expense, it's a no for now. Throw that in a bucket for when we're not entering into an economic downturn. And then if it's an investment, you dig in and decide, is this an investment that has a payoff? And make a data-driven decision on whether or not to make that investment. All right. All right, guys. I love being here with you guys every week. I really do. Next week, like I said, we will dive into the wealth financial framework. And then I'll spend the next couple weeks after that digging into each piece of that framework to help you guys. All right, because I just told you have to make data-driven decisions. Now we're going to figure out how to actually make those data-driven decisions. All right, so I will see you guys next week, same time, same place, unless I tell you otherwise, but should be. All right, guys, have a great Thursday, a great Friday, and a great weekend. All right, catch you guys next week. Bye.